Small Finkley, Black Tree TV. How you doing, Mark?
How are you, sir? Good to see you.
Last time we talked, we got to talk about the Super Bowl, and my prediction was right. The Rams won. So
You know
glad
what?
about.
I wasn't mad, but I thought, man, Joe Boy, they had him.
Yeah,
Bengal,
yeah,
they had him.
yeah,
I
yeah.
tell you what, Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald reminds me of Father Stu. Nothing was going to stop him on that day. Nothing. I mean, he was. I know they had Von Miller and lots of other folks, but man, Aaron Donald was
That-
possessed.
that's a good comparison. Father Stu to Aaron Donald. I love that. I gotta ask you though, like, because from the outside looking in, especially the consumer fans, I know like we've had like a working relationship as journalists and talent, but it would seem like you've always had everything. And Father Stu, he loses something and he loses everything and has to build back up. Is there any time in your life where you felt like you lost it all, like even figuratively, or did you ever get to that low point where you feel like you're thrown?
Absolutely. I felt like I lost my way. I felt like I never really was on the right track. I was always kind of looking for approval, trying to fit in where I could, hang out with the older guys. It wasn't until I focused on my faith and I realized that I should be looking for inspiration from the people who have dedicated their lives to serving God, serving the community, being there in the boys club. As opposed to the people who seem to also have it all. And so once I started focusing on my faith, just good little things started to happen for me. And I was like, whoa, it was pretty clear why these things started to happen. So that's why I attribute all my success, both personally and professionally, to my faith. And that being said, it was like, okay, so why has God put me in this position? It's not to forget about where I came from. There's a bigger plan, there's a bigger purpose. And when this movie came to me, it was like, okay, this is, again, to do God's work and for his greater good. And now it set me on a path and really lit a fire under me. We're like, okay, this is touching people. Everybody's relating to it in their own personal way. I got to do more, and it reminds me of that first experience I had, when kind of committing to my faith and really kind of surrendering to that. So it's powerful, it's real, and I want people to experience that and feel that. I know a lot of people do, but I know so a lot of people don't, and especially now with people being so judgmental and just like being willing to turn their back on somebody. People need to know that people are loved and supported and accepted for whoever they are. And seeing the greater good in people is so important. And so this is a big reminder of that. And we're going to continue to promote that message. And there's so much emphasis on negativity, man. If we continue on this path, we'll never come together. You know something, Father? There's a sign on the wall in my gym back home. Hope is not a tactic. I took that one to heart. Fought for everything I earned. This ain't no different. I think I know what God's doing here. Seeing how I respond, I don't get my way. But I ain't giving up. Not on him or me. I want you to reconsider your rejection.
You are a pugilist with a criminal record.
You want to look at St. Matthew? St. Augustine, St. Francis. I mean, some of the most remarkable figures in the history of the church are reformed men.
Yes, but I think what the church needs now, more than ever, is to elevate the standard for a priest.
No, what the church needs is somebody who's going to fight for God. That's me.
You have great co-stars in this with Jackie and Teresa and Mel. And I know you've worked with everybody: Leo, Matt, Christian Bell, Denzel. So I was surprised to see this quote in the shade room, like, I would never work with Denzel Washington again because he's an expletive. Why did you say that?
Who?
You said that the shade room says that you would never work with Denzel Washington again. April Fools.
Is today?
April Fools joke. I was just giving the April Fools joke.
I was going to say, the greatest actor in the world, the guy who's given me the greatest advice about being a man of God, about being a husband, about being a father. The guy who, if I got a real problem, a real stress, I could go knock on his door.
Yeah.
Oh, man. This is the first April Fool's joke. Usually my kids do this shit to me. All right. That's okay. I'm going to get somebody back. Don't worry. One of my co-stars from another film is staying in this hotel. He doesn't leave until 1 o'clock. I'm going to get him.
I got to ask you, what's the trauma? What's the good and the bad of being the youngest of 9 children? Like growing up like that. Like how do you feel like that part molded you being like?
Oh, well, as a kid, it was the worst, you know. And like you think, okay, you're spoiled, and it was just hand-me-downs, and also just everything just went downhill. But then I was so competitive with everybody, and I always felt like I had to work twice as hard as everybody. And I feel like that now has given me an advantage because I'm willing to work twice as hard or 3 times as hard as everybody else. I just always had to. I always had to like earn my spot, fight for my spot. And, you know, so yeah, now looking back at it, it was definitely a blessing.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for being a good pal in this
Jamal,
joke.
wait a second. Jamal, why did you teed that shit up so long? It was so random about all the different co-stars and everything else. And
just trying to throw you off.
Yeah, touche.
Appreciate your time, brother.
But guess what? I don't forget that shit. I'm coming out. I guess I'm going to get you back.
I'll be looking out for it.
God
Thanks,
bless
Mark.
you.